As a class, your analytical responses last week were honestly kind of all over the place. Some of y'all did a great job, some of y'all not so much. So first thing you should do is log into Brightspace and take a look at the feedback I provided, which is very specific to you and tells you what you can do to improve and what you did well. If I am stepping back and kind of thinking about this as a whole class, though, there are a couple of things that everyone can do to make sure that they are answering the prompt correctly and earning a good grade, which is what everybody's interested in. Probably the most important thing is to make sure that you know what question is being asked, and then make sure that you answer that question specifically, right? So if the question is, what are some laws in Hammurabi's law code and what do they tell us about that civilization? Providing a bunch of information about the history of Hammurabi or Babylon doesn't really answer that question. So for this week, we've got a question that handles at least two civilizations, right? Here's the prompt. Using at least one of the assigned primary sources for the Vedic people. We had two. We had the Mahabharata and we had the Rig Veda. And also Ashoka's rock edicts explain one way that Vedic Rajas or Brahmins, kind of kings or priests, would have used ideas that are in those sources to maintain a stable society. You might also then think about, or actually you have to think about, how would Ashoka use his law code, his rock edicts, to do the same type of thing? Let's put this in comparison to our civilization. We might think about, okay, how would stories about the American Revolution and the Boston Tea Party and George Washington and our early Declaration of Independence give us some insight into how founding fathers would have tried to create a stable American society? Well, you can look into that and you can say, okay, well, they vilify the British and unite people against them. They focus on the importance of representation with taxes. They create heroes that justify rebellion. They develop laws that give people kind of an independent spirit and help them buy into this collective identity that is America, right? So those are the types of things that we want to ask ourselves about these civilizations. After we get those two different parts of the assignment done, what you then want to do is think about, okay, there's some similarities and some differences between these. Why are they similar? How are they similar? Why are they different? How are they different? And what might that tell us about how living in India changes over the course of anywhere from 1,000 to 500 years? So we've got some discrete tasks. I've got at the bottom here that your responses should be 3 paragraphs because you've got 3 different parts of the assignment. What we should do on the next slide then is real quickly take a look at how you might break down your response, what each of those paragraphs might do. You know from my feedback that what you should be doing in these responses is creating a clear topic sentence that answers the question, and then finding specific evidence from the source that can back up the claim that you make. You're using your own analysis then to connect your claim to the evidence and come up with something that's convincing, and all of you are capable of doing this. So let's think about how we can break it down on the next slide.